everybody. Hi, it's Kim Morse here again with Sailing Happily Ever After, and welcome so much to day 4 of our 5-day communication challenge. Wow, we're almost to the end. That's fantastic. Thanks everybody who has been commenting on these posts and letting me know that you're here. So as a reminder to everybody, this is a 5-day challenge. And part of the challenge is that if you comment on all 5 days videos, that you will be entered into a drawing, and we have some great prizes. We're giving away 2 relationship books. One is Radical Marriage by David Steele. The other one is 7 Principles That Make Marriage Work by John Gottman, and a backpack with our Sailing Happily Ever logo on it. So please go ahead and comment. And then the second part of the challenge is to actually do something related to the challenge that I challenge you to do. So the first day we talked about making an appointment. Had to think about that for a minute. Making an appointment. The second day we talked about thinkers versus talkers. And yesterday, a little bit deeper, we talked about identifying an issue and the need beneath the issue. Hey Sam, thanks for being here again. Love knowing that you're always going to be there. So today we are going to talk about probably what I think is probably the most important tip for communication. And that is to make a request. Okay, so we know what our need is. We've figured that out. Now we want to make a request. So this has to be something, what I want in a request is something very measurable and specific. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. Hi Jocelyn, thanks for joining me. So what we don't do a lot of times, instead of making, well, what we do instead of making a request is we do all kinds of other really negative, completely unproductive things, okay? And we all do them. And one of the main things that we often do is that we just complain. So we complain about what we're not getting, okay? And women, we tend to do this, and when we do it, it's seen as nagging, right? You're nagging me all the time. That's what we hear, right? Because we're just in the mode of complaining, and when we just complain all day about what we don't want, our partner doesn't really know what we do want. So we need to make that request. We need to ask for what it is that we want. Seems really simple, but we just don't do it. Okay, so we need to get in the habit of really formalizing the request as to what we want. Sometimes also we get very demanding. We just demand what we want, and we think that's what's going to get what we want. But that doesn't help either. And one of the other really big ones is criticism. And when we criticize our partner, somehow we think that if we criticize and we tell them everything that they're not doing right and how they're, a slob and how they, don't care about our feelings and all these things that we criticize, we think that someday this great big huge light bulb is going to go off in their head and they're going to go, thank you so much for pointing out my character flaw. I had no idea. You know what? That's not what happens. What happens is they just get really defensive, and we just put them into defensive mode. So we're using all kinds of judgment, and we're surrounding our criticism with words of judgment, and we're not even thinking about the fact that all we're going to get back from that is defensiveness. That's not going to get us what we want at all, right? And another thing that we do is we have a sense of entitlement, okay? We think that, well, if you love me, then I deserve this. I've worked really hard in this marriage, and I've done a lot of things for you, and I just deserve this. But what's this? If we don't make a request for what we want, again, they don't know what it is we want. And one of the biggest things that women do in this sense of entitlement is that they say, well, if I have to ask for what I want, it just doesn't mean as much. Okay, I'm going to challenge that just a little bit. Because if we don't ask for what we want, you know what we're going to get? 0. Nothing. Hey, Mom, glad to see you came. So we're going to get 0 if we don't ask. So I'm going to give you an example of that. Let's say that you really enjoy having your partner compliment you, that really makes you feel loved. And so I will have women say to me, well, if I have to ask him for a compliment, it doesn't mean the same. So here's the challenge in that. If you say to your partner, say today or tomorrow, you know, I really means a lot to me if you tell me, maybe even once a day, give me a compliment. And one of the ones that I really love is that I'm beautiful. If you could just tell me I'm beautiful, that would mean a lot. So he says, okay. And then later that night, before you get to go get ready for bed, he looks at you and he says, honey, you're so beautiful. Tell me that doesn't mean something. Of course it means something. So we have to ask for what we want. Girls, our men have no clue what we want unless we ask them, unless we tell them. So ask. And that's the other thing. We expect our partner to read our minds. That's another negative thing that we really do that just is completely ineffective. We have no clue what our partner wants unless they tell us. And our partner has no clue what we want unless we tell them. So make a very measurable and specific request. And what I mean by that is something like this. Say you don't think that your partner helps you enough around the house. So you say to your partner, I need you to help me around the house. Now, for a lot of people, if that's not the job they normally do, they're not really going to know what you want. Or they're probably even going to be afraid that they're going to get in your way. So a very specific and measurable request would be something like, you know, on Saturday, when we're cleaning the house, I would really love it if you'd run the vacuum, maybe just in the living room. Very specific, very measurable. Aha, he knows what you want. So if you want to get something from your partner and you want to be able to communicate what it is that you want, make a request. It works. So that's the mind-boggling tip that I have for you today. So your challenge is to make some sort of request today of your partner, something very measurable, something very specific, around something that you need or an issue that you have. It could even be really, really small. It's okay. And then I'm going to really kind of be devilish here and make a little bit more of a challenge of you. And we're all going to be sharing, so it's okay. It's fine because we're going to all see that we all do the same things. I want you to think about what your go-to negative thing is that you do instead of just making a simple request. Okay, do you complain? Do you demand? Do you expect your partner to read your mind? Do you criticize? What is it that you do? And just, you can even do it in one word. Criticism, demanding, whatever it is, I really want you to share. And part of the reason I want you to share is because I want everybody to see that we all do this. This is human nature. And that's why learning about communication is really important, because then we learn these little tips that really help us catch ourselves when we find ourselves in that mode of being critical or being demanding or expecting mind reading. Then when we catch it, then that's the only way that we can make a change. It's the only way that we can move forward and do something different. So again, a recap. The tip of the day is make a request, and then, oh, thank you for the like. And yeah, little likes and hearts if you've loved this little tidbit of information. If you think this has really been helpful, I love some hearts and likes. So anyway, so we want to make a request, and then the challenge of what to write in the comments is whatever it is that you do, your go-to negative thing that you do that counteracts what you really, really need. Okay, oh, thanks. It counteracts what you really, really need. And write that. And like I said, I want everybody just to be honest and open because we all do it. So before I close out today, I did want to open it up, see if there was anybody that had any questions. And if not, that's great. If you do have questions, you don't want to ask it while I'm live, put it in the comments and I'll address it for the next one. So tomorrow is the very last day of our 5-day challenge, and I have a fantastic tool that I'm going to share with all of you that you can use to help you communicate better with your partner. So if you've made that appointment because you have an issue, I'm going to give you a great tool to use to be able to have that conversation in a really, really productive way. So I don't see that anybody asked any questions this time, so I'm going to go ahead and sign out. Thank you everybody that joined me today, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.